God, do I love Star Wars. Yep, The Mandalorian Season 3, Episode 4 has dropped on Disney+. So you know the drill by now. I talk about the episode with spoilers, so here is your spoiler warning as per usual. If you have not yet watched this episode titled The Foundling yet, and you plan on it, you should not watch this video until you watch said episode, cause I will be ruining the episode for those who have not watched it yet. So you should watch this video either if you have seen the episode or you don't care about The Mandalorian. Alright, disclaimer is done. If you get mad because I spoiled the episode, that is officially on you, my friend. Okay, so let's dive in. A couple of things about this episode. One, it is about 95% filler. We don't get advancement in the current story too much. It was still a fun episode though. And two, it was pretty short. For context, the previous episode was like 59 minutes long, almost an hour. This one is like half the length, like literally. It's listed as like, what, 32 minutes? When I was watching it last night and it cut to black and the credits came on, I was like, wait, what? What time is it? Oh my god, that was short. Again, not necessarily a bad thing. I did still ultimately like this episode, but really in the grand scheme of at least this season, it does feel more like time filler. I'm just saying. That being said, this is probably one of my favorite episodes of the season so far. Because right off the bat, we're hanging out with this Mandalorian convert, and they're all training to become badasses. In this episode, now more than ever, we really get the feeling that this group of Mandalorians, they really feel like a family. They all share the same beliefs, they all abide by the same rules. I mean, just seeing all these different Mandalorians in different colored armor and helmets, they really do feel like brothers and sisters, you know? And us watching it as an audience, we, or at least I, feel like I'm a part of that. I feel included. And so we get to Grogu's moment. Throughout the season, yeah, we've had Din Djarin talking to Grogu. He's been kind of teaching him the ways of being a Mandalorian, you know? Like when they were in his ship and Din was like, to be a Mandalorian, you have to know how to navigate the galaxy. But I just thought he was telling him that just for kicks, you know? Like, oh, this is how I had to learn how to become a Mandalorian. For some reason, I did not assess in my head that he was actually training Grogu to be a Mandalorian himself. Yeah, Din has become such a father figure to Grogu that he's pretty much like, yeah, Grogu, you're now gonna be one of us because you're my son. I feel like at the end of this season, Din is gonna tell Grogu that he loves him. Cause it just feels like we're there now, you know? Which is great, warm fuzzies all around. And so we have Grogu's training. They pair him up with this one Mandalorian kid who was the kid who got rescued in the first episode. Poor kid's such an easy target. But they play their little paintball game, and Grogu eventually gets the drop on him. Which I will say this is actually kind of starting to bother me a little bit. Whenever Grogu jumps, like does his little force jump, it really seems like he is a puppet being lifted with strings. Like his jumps really feel unnatural, just the way he goes up and comes down. I don't know if that bothers anyone else. It really is a nitpick on my behalf though. Like it's just a minor annoyance with me. I just wish Grogu's force jumps looked better. I do like the fact that the kid asks why Grogu doesn't wear a helmet, and Din gives a really smart answer that made sense to me. He says Grogu's too young to speak the creed, so he's too young to wear a helmet. I was like, yeah. You think back to the first episode of this season, that kid spoke the creed before putting on the helmet. Grogu doesn't really talk yet, so he can't take the oath yet. That totally makes sense. Doesn't change the fact that I really want to know what Grogu will look like with his own custom Mandalorian helmet. Maybe the series finale will culminate with Grogu's induction into the Mandalorian creed. I don't know. But then the kid is stolen by a pterosaur. And so this is where I was like, okay, so most of this episode is gonna be filler. The kid is taken, so now we're gonna go rescue him, and that's gonna be this episode. And it is for about half of it. That I would say is the filler part, kind of. It does pay off in the end, so it's like, yeah, more character development for Bo-Katan, which I'll get to. Doesn't change the fact that it does still feel like filler. Still fun though. But while Din and Bo-Katan and Paz Vizsla go on their rescue mission, Grogu sticks around to have himself a little moment with the Armorer. And I gotta say, I love this moment. I mean, first of all, Emily Swallow does a great job as the Armorer. I've always thought she was great ever since season 1. She is pretty much the leader of this group. And she always has such a presence, you know? Her voice, she's always calm, but she does have that presence of a leader. You feel like she has seen some shit in her day. And so she's introducing Grogu to the Forge, and while she is making something for him, Grogu gets this look on his face, which is a look I don't think we've ever seen on his face before. It's like this look of despair. And next thing we know, we are back in Order 66. So yeah, this is where we get the Order 66 flashback. We saw this in the trailer, and I was like, oh shit, here we go. We're finally gonna get to see who smuggled Grogu out of the Jedi Temple on Coruscant. Yeah, that has been a burning question for a lot of fans. And apologies to those of you who guessed it was Yoda. It wasn't Yoda. No, it was this other random Jedi. I guess his name is Kelleran. That's pretty cool, and I like the robe he was wearing with that gold pattern. That was neat. And at first I was like, okay, he's played by some actor that I just don't know. But then I saw a very familiar name in the credits, Ahmed Best. I was like, no way. Yeah, for those of you who might not know, Ahmed Best is infamous in the Star Wars universe for playing arguably the most despised character in the entire franchise, Jar Jar Binks. Yeah, that was Jar Jar. So when I saw that he was Kelleran, I was like, holy shit, that is the biggest redemption arc now in the entire franchise. Even bigger than Darth Vader's redemption, dare I say. From playing the worst character in all of Star Wars to now being the one who rescued Grogu from Order 66. I really do gotta say congratulations to that, guys. Cause Kelleran was a complete badass blocking those lasers with his 2 lightsabers. That shit was awesome. So seriously, from the bottom of my Star Wars loving heart, bravo and all my props to Ahmed Best. Gotta say, out of all the things this episode gave us, that was the best. And so the armorer makes a new piece of Beskar for Grogu. Gotta admit though that it does look a little weird. I mean, it's just a little plate thing, and it's going under his robe. You would think, you know, for a new piece of armor for Grogu, it would go over his robe. It would look like, you know, some Mandalorian armor. I don't know the logic behind this. But this was pretty much the most important part of the episode. Well, that and what happens at the very end, which I'll get to. The rescue mission, rescuing the kid from the pterosaur, pretty much goes off without a hitch. I mean, we learned that this is a mother with babies, which is why when the mother gets eaten all Jurassic World style, I was like, oh my god, you Mandalorians just orphaned those kids. But that is why I'm glad that they did end up rescuing the babies afterwards. Like, they come back to the Creed, everyone's cheering, and they're like, yeah, we rescued the kid, and we also brought 3 more foundlings. And the armorer's like, is that so? I love how casually she said that. And then we see the babies coming out and we're like, okay, I feel like they are gonna be useful later. Like, are the Mandalorians now gonna raise them? That'd be pretty cool, I'm not gonna lie. Having Mandalorians flying around on big pterosaurs, that'd be sweet. And then the dialogue that Bo-Katan has with the armorer. I love it. The armorer's like, you did the greatest honor of this creed. You rescued a foundling. Again, I love how these Mandalorians are so tight-knit as a family. They take care of their own. I don't know, man. This show just does a really good job at making you feel the love. And apparently there's enough love there for Bo-Katan to trust the armorer, because she straight up tells her about the mythosaur she saw at the end of episode 2. Yeah, we all remember that. She kept it a secret from Din Djarin, but she tells the armorer, and it's funny. At first, it's like she doesn't even believe her. She's like, yeah, you were lucky. That was quite a noble vision you had. And Bo-Katan's like, no, I saw one for reals. The armorer's reaction to this, she simply says, this is the way. I don't know, like, does she still not believe her? I'm not sure. I guess we'll find out next week, maybe, if we don't go back to Pershing. But again, that's where this episode cuts to black, and then the credits came on, and I was like, wait, what? It's already over? It's been 25 minutes. Yeah, it's a pretty short episode, but it's still quite a good one. In the end, like I said, this is probably one of my favorite episodes of the season so far. I just like hanging out with this Mandalorian convert. They feel so close to each other, they feel like a tight-knit family, which makes me also feel like a part of that. They care about each other, and I just love hanging out with these guys. Can't wait to see what happens next week. So, The Mandalorian, Chapter 20, The Foundling. Have you watched it yet? What are your thoughts on it? Whatever you think, go ahead and leave a comment. And of course, thank you for subscribing. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to get back to playing Persona 3 Portable. Yeah, I got Persona 3 Portable and Persona 4 Golden off the Steam Spring Sale. Because I just loved 5 so much, I was like, screw it, I'll just become a fan of the franchise. I don't think I'll be doing videos on these games though, because I don't really see a point, but 3 is great so far. Peace!